Good morning, we are now on chapter 15. That night, Sophie said goodnight to Charles early and clambered onto the rooftops the moment the sun had begun to set. She sat against the chimney pot and waited for it to become properly dark. While she waited, she tucked her knees under her chin and tried to muster her options. She was surprised to find that giving up was not one of them. It was odd. She wasn't, as far as she knew, brave. She was afraid of deep water and large crowds and cockroaches. And when she thought of being caught and taken back to England, she felt physically sick with dread. And yet giving up felt as impossible as flying. Her mother felt so much more real, here. She could almost smell her. She would smell her. Sophie felt, sure of roses and resin. She felt just around the corner. Sophie got to her feet. Sophie had not thought she had a plan, but she acted purposefully, as if she had planned it all along. Then she pulled off her shoes and held them in her teeth. Then she headed north in the direction of the boy. After 20 minutes, she squatted on her heels and fished the laces from one of her shoes. She tied it round the chimney pot. She wanted him to know that she was not afraid to leave her own rooftop. At each new roof, Sophie tied something to the chimney pot. First her other shoelace, and then her stockings and 2 hair ribbons, all of which were easy to tie, and then her handkerchief, which was not quite large enough and kept coming undone at the top. At the 8th rooftop, she wound her dressing gown round the chimney. It was grey with much washing, and she was not sorry to part with it. At the 9th rooftop, Sophie came to a halt. She stood on one leg. There was a gap as long as an ironing board between her rooftop and the next. It's not far, she told herself. She would almost certainly make it. But somehow, she couldn't persuade her feet to agree. Sophie hesitated. Then she tugged off her nightdress and threw it onto the rooftop. There was 1 second when she thought it was going to drop straight down the chimney. Instead, it landed neatly on the edge and lay there, its arm waving in the breeze as if it were saluting the dark. Then Sophie turned and ran, as swift as she dared, dressed only in her pants and with her shoes in her mouth and her arms out for balance, back along the slate, back along the tip-tops of the city, over the heads of 100 dreaming Frenchmen, and back to bed.